They just announced all these new movies, and they announced that there's going to be a Fantastic Four movie.
Yes.
You're not allowed to say anything.
Nope.
I'm not allowed to really ask you.
Right.
But you think? You think?
You think?
Do you think? How could one think? Could one think?
Seriously, what have you heard? I need to know.
They don't tell you anything.
They don't tell you anything. No. Nope.
Until right before you're about to do it.
That's right. Yep.
And there's also a rumor that your wife, Emily Blunt, will play Sue Storm.
Oh.
Making the first husband. You think?
Jimmy, I'm going to tell you on your show, it's...
And I don't know. Fuck the people that try to make you scared, you know, and fight back.
Pedro Pascal is getting dragged online for Fantastic Four, and it's not about his act.
We always ask, man, why does this keep happening? Why does Pedro Pascal keep getting cast? Why do executives in Hollywood keep casting Pedro Pascal?
It looks good. I'm a big Fantastic Four guy. I love the Fantastic Four, so I'm excited about this.
I thought it was supposed to be what's his face, John Krasinski from The Office. I thought he was Mr. Fantastic.
Now you think Fantastic Four will be high fives then?
And that is partially because Marvel's recent track record in the box office, right, with the Thunderbolts, and plus the Fantastic Four has not been a strong IP in the theaters.
All right, buckle up, because things are getting spicy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Pedro Pascal is apparently not taking it well. Rumors are swirling that he's absolutely furious, and it's all because Marvel is allegedly eyeing John Krasinski for the next Fantastic Four sequel. Just let that sink in for a minute. The man who went from internet daddy to internet pariah in the blink of an eye is now facing his biggest professional nightmare. The word on the street is that a deal might already be in the works, and this time, it's not for a cameo or a one-off scene, but for a full-on return as Reed Richards. The question is, why would Marvel risk alienating one of their biggest stars so quickly after the last movie bomb?
Whether or not newly released films are going to cut into those box office metrics, that's really up for discussion right now. And also whether or not the box office for Fantastic Four First Steps will be very similar to what Brave New World turned out to be once it actually made its course throughout all theaters.
Well, let's rewind to where the whole train wreck began. It was a disaster of a premiere. You know how most actors stand on the red carpet and smile even when they feel like they've just swallowed a live grenade? Not our guy. During a press interview, he decided to double down on the cinematic dumpster fire he had just starred in. He reportedly told fans to stop demanding perfection, and then, for good measure, dropped a line that will forever be etched in the internet's Hall of Shame. If audiences skip the movie, that's on them, not us. You could hear a pin drop in that room. The journalists looked at each other like they'd just seen a ghost, and one of them apparently dropped their microphone. It was in that moment that Pedro didn't just burn a bridge, he nuked it from orbit.
We've been having a lot of Pedro Pascal conversations. Seems like a good guy. So he is way miscast as Reed Richards to be.
I don't understand why someone with such natural charisma as Pedro Pascal has keeps getting cast in these roles where he's just inert.
But the real story behind this public meltdown, whispers say, started long before he opened his mouth. According to anonymous crew members on fan forums, this wasn't just a spontaneous act of defiance, it was the culmination of a production from hell. They say Pedro was a bit of a control freak, with one source claiming he pushed for late-night rewrites because Reed Richards needed to brood more. Another story, which has been shared and reshared countless times, is that he halted a major battle scene because the choreography was too silly and needed to be redone.
He will reprise his role in next year's Avengers Doomsday and 2027's Avengers Secret Wars. However, Pascal knows he has his detractors after some claimed he is too old for the part or called for him to trim his facial hair.
The on-set behavior painted a picture of a star whose passion had tipped over into stubbornness. It was a narrative that fit perfectly with the new villain persona the internet had created for him. But these stories were just the tip of the iceberg, and the real tension was just getting started. The final straw, or at least the one that caused the most eye rolls from the rest of the cast, was the legendary costume color debacle. Rumors flew that Pascal had a meltdown over a specific shade of blue, He allegedly insisted on a darker, more brooding shade, arguing that the lighter color was unfitting for a character of Reed Richards' intellectual depth. While this might sound like a minor detail, it reportedly caused significant delays and budget overruns. This story, in a way, became a symbol for the entire production, a star so focused on his own vision that he was willing to derail everything else. But if Pedro was such a problem on set, why didn't any of his co-stars speak out?
You know, I've always thought of it as a very logistical thing of playing characters that are sort of protective father figures of either Grogu or Ellie or my son in Wonder Woman. I become a father in Fantastic Four. And I think that it's probably just an age thing, really.
That's where things get even more interesting. It seems the script itself was a minefield of emotional and logistical traps. The stories of Pedro's on-set antics were the whispers that kept everyone on their toes. One anonymous forum poster claimed that when a scene didn't go his way, he would retreat into a corner and sulk, forcing the director to coax him out like a toddler who just had his toy taken away. This behavior reportedly led to a strained environment where no one wanted to challenge him, fearing he would throw another tantrum. His co-stars, it said, were forced to walk on eggshells, constantly trying to appease the star.
I did all my stretching for real, and I pride myself on kind of being the funny guy on set. And I have to tell you, if there is a competition of who's funniest, who is smartest, and who is the most talented, I'm number 4, and I'm not even being.
But the true masterpiece of this drama wasn't the on-set issues. It was the way it all unfolded on the red carpet. The red carpet interviews, once a showcase of camaraderie, became a masterclass in deflection. You'd see the co-stars offering blanket thank yous to the fans, but then skillfully dodging any and all questions about Pedro. It was like watching a well-rehearsed dance of avoidance. The silence was deafening, and it spoke volumes. The media, of course, picked up on this immediately, with magazines noting the unusual absence of a united front. It was a PR nightmare that even the best spin doctors couldn't fix. The public was seeing the cracks in the facade, but what they didn't realize was just how much of a financial nightmare this was turning into. The financial fallout was brutal. We're talking a 65% plunge in the second weekend. That's the kind of drop you see from films that are genuinely terrible, not a Marvel blockbuster.
He should be.
I mean, I guess that is the one nice thing about the multiverse is that you can just say you're in a different universe where only this one person changed.
Movie theater managers noticed half-empty showings, and parents, who were once a key demographic for superhero films, were reportedly choosing animated alternatives instead. The disappointing figures were hard evidence that the angry chatter online wasn't just noise. It was people staying home. Investors were reportedly frowning, and Disney stock even dipped a hair. For Marvel, a studio used to victory laps, this was like stepping on a Lego brick barefoot. It was a sudden, sharp jolt that reminded them that success isn't guaranteed anymore. But the financial problems weren't the only concern for the executives. There were also whispers about Pedro's future in the MCU. The backlash was so severe that Marvel executives, according to insiders, were holding emergency meetings to discuss Pedro's future. The initial plans had him as a key leader in the upcoming Phase 5, a central figure in the Avengers films. But with the actor now being a lightning rod for controversy, they had to reevaluate. Whispers circulated about reducing his screen time in future movies, or even using the multiverse as an excuse to introduce a different version of Reed Richards. This wasn't just about one actor, it was about the entire foundation of the MCU. The studio was in a tough spot. Do they stick with the actor who just publicly shamed his audience, or do they cut their losses and risk alienating the small but passionate group of fans who were still holding out hope? The drama, however, wasn't just confined to the studio. It also had a ripple effect across Hollywood. Other studios were watching this whole thing unfold with the intensity of a hawk watching a mouse. Hollywood's unwritten rule is simple: never blame the ticket buyers. This whole debacle with Pedro became a cautionary tale that was reportedly being discussed in every boardroom. Two projects that had considered him for lead roles allegedly quietly re-evaluated their choices. Casting directors were reportedly mentioning off-record that insurance companies were demanding higher fees when stars presented a reputation risk. Trade papers even ran think pieces with headlines like, "Has Pedro Pascal poisoned his brand?" It was a stark reminder of how quickly a celebrity's brand can turn toxic, and how easily years of goodwill can be undone by a single comment. But the true cost of this public meltdown for Pedro himself was only just beginning to reveal itself. The emotional toll was arguably even worse than the financial one. Fans who had once called him Internet Daddy and created countless loving edits were now using those same clips to mock him. Old tweets praising him became targets for sarcastic replies. Stan accounts changed their icons overnight, and fan artists who once drew stylish Reed Richards pinups switched to satirical doodles of his stretched arms holding empty theater seats. The change was swift and sharp because fandom thrives on a sense of connection and betrayal, even if perceived, cuts deep. It's like a favorite teacher suddenly scolding the entire class for poor grade. The trust was broken, and rebuilding it would be an uphill battle, especially in the age of instant sharing. But as the dust began to settle, one final twist emerged that left everyone scratching their head. In the midst of all the chaos, Pedro's social media, which had been silent for weeks, finally updated. He posted a moody black and white selfie with a cryptic caption about silence. Instead of offering an olive branch or an apology, the post only fueled more speculation that he still didn't see the problem. It was a move that many saw as doubling down on his arrogance, a final refusal to admit fault. It was a mic drop moment that nobody saw coming. But just when we thought the drama was over, a new rumor started to circulate from the top brass at Marvel. The whispers suggest that they are looking for a complete reboot, and they've already started the search for a new Reed Richards, with one name in particular being tossed around. And that name is none other than our good friend John Krasinski. The man who was once the fan favorite to play Mr. Fantastic is reportedly back in the conversation. Marvel executives are allegedly so desperate to course correct that they're considering bringing back the beloved star, whose brief appearance in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness left fans wanting more. But here's where it gets complicated. The word on the street is that John is hesitant to jump back into a franchise that has already had one catastrophic failure. He's reportedly looking for a massive payday and creative control, especially over the script and the director. He wants to make sure this time the movie is a hit. The question now is, will Marvel meet his demands, and what will that mean for the fate of Pedro Pascal?